Being a successful day trader is something that's very hard to accomplish. I can say this not only from my personal experience, but I can also say this because I've just seen studies proving it. Now, there's not an extensive amount of studies on this topic, and it's kind of something that's hard to measure. But from what I've seen, the percentage of traders that'll finish a given period green is only between 10 and 30%. So that's a very low percentage. And from there, the percentage of traders that are actually making money consistently over time, so this is from that whole sample size as a whole, it's on average only between 1 and 5%. So essentially, only 1 in 5% of traders are consistently making money. And that's a very low percentage, right? If we look in terms of success rates of 20 traders with that logic, less than 1 in 20, right? Slightly less than 1 in 20 are going to be actually successful day traders. So statistically, the odds are not in your favor. And there's a lot of reasons behind this, right? I'll go over all the things. So I'm going to talk about how I deal with these and all the causes. So let's get straight into it. So the first reason trading's so hard is just because it's an emotional roller coaster. One day you're going to feel like you're on top of the world, and the next day you're going to feel absolutely horrible. And I feel like new traders experience this the worst because they're just not used to it. Because being a trader forces you to deal with your emotions and become more tough mentally, right? Because you're going to see these numbers fluctuating on the screen, right? It might come very close to your take profit because there's going to be days where it's going to come like 1 point away from your take profit, right? You could target 102 points. It could go 100 and they can reverse all the way against you and either stop you out at break even or take you out of your stop. It's going to happen one day and it's going to suck. But you got to learn to deal with things like that because those new inexperienced traders, one of the things that's going to lead to their downfall is when something like that happens, they're going to say, oh my God, I was up so much before, I have to finish the day up that much. And that's a horrible idea. Once you have that thought in your head, it's only going to be downhill from there, right? You're going to take another trade. It's probably going to be subpar. You might lose it. You might take another trade, double down, right? Next thing you know, the account's blown. You're like, oh my God, how'd this happen? You should be focusing on taking quality trades. And if something like that happens and you know that your emotions are affecting you, you got to take a step back. And now, so for how you should deal with this, right? So let's say you're a new trader and trading is such an emotional roller coaster for you, right? The way I think you should deal with it is only at first focus on taking one trade a day because after you take that first trade, emotions are going to start getting to you. You might either win a trade and you might think you're the best trader in the world, you want to keep trading, or you might lose a trade and you might say, hey, I can't finish the day red. So I'm going to get into next. There's human nature that's going to go against you. But for this point with the emotional roller coaster, the way you can combat that is whichever platform you're using, the best way to combat that is if there's some form of lockout feature, right? You could lock yourself out of X amount of trades per day. You could lock yourself out after you lose X amount of money per day. You could lock yourself out manually, just like there's a button for the lockout, right? Like right now, I'm locked out of my trading account. So if I wanted to trade my Alpha Futures accounts, I literally could not trade them, right? So that's going to prevent me. It's not like I have a problem with over trading because I've been trading for so long that I've been trading before these lockout things were here, right? I had to actually build that discipline where I could walk away. And one other thing that kind of built that discipline for me too was after I've taken losses so many times that were just against my rules and were stupid, it just kind of hurt so much that it almost kind of forced me to stop making those irrational decisions, right? Because let's say I take a loss and I wanted to finish the day green. If I keep taking trades, going on a horrible losing streak, I blow the account, it's going to hurt so bad, I don't want to make that same mistake again, right? So eventually, you'll just get fed up with your mistakes. But now, I'm going to get into my next point, which is human tendencies. Because if you follow your normal human tendencies, it's actually not going to be a good thing for you. So as for your natural human tendencies, there's going to be a lot of things your mind is going to tell you to do. Like, for example, let's say you make $200 a day at your job and you're trading on a funded account and you're not used to seeing these big numbers, right? You're risking $400 per trade. It is virtual money. It's not like it's your money, but you still see that number 400 and it feels like it's real to you. And that's one of the reasons these prop firms make these accounts set up that way, right? Because you see these big numbers and it's going to be harder for you to think straight. But so let's say you're risking 400 and you're up 200. Your mind is going to tell you, hey, at our job, we make $200 a day. Why wouldn't you take that money? The reason you wouldn't take that money is because you risk 400. You want to follow your plan. You can't be taking negative risk to reward trades. And also, let's say your trade's going toward your stop loss. A lot of times, the human mind just doesn't want to admit that it's wrong. right? So you could move your stop. You could say, you know what? Well, actually, now that I think about it, it could retrace down here, and you're gonna move your stop, and you're gonna risk more than you initially wanted to risk, because that trade, it's a loser. You're pretty much extending a loss. You want to extend your winners. You don't want to extend your losers. If anything, when possible, you want to cut your losers short. So that's another common habit that new traders have. And it's something your mind tells you to do. And another thing is you can't be stuck on a bias. You have to accept when you're wrong. And it's very hard for the human mind to accept when you're wrong. Because it might not happen very frequently, but there's eventually going to be days where you're going to be very confident that something's going to happen and it's not going to happen. And you don't want to sit there all day and take one trade, two trade, three trade, four trades toward one area when it's never going to hit that area in the first place. That's something I used to be guilty of. I used to say, oh my God, it is so going to hit this 4 hour gap. There's no way it's not going to. But I was wrong, right? And then I've taken 5 trades toward this gap, and I'm like, oh my God, how did this happen? And it just causes you to not be profitable over time. So you got to pretty much just keep your mind in check. So I talked about this before, but just to recap, to keep track of your emotions, right? Especially if you're new, limit yourself to 1 trade a day, because after that, your trades are going to go downhill. And you should have a limit or a lockout feature where after you take 1 trade or after you lose X percentage, right, lock yourself out of the account so you physically cannot take more trades. Because I honestly bet you if you limit yourself to 1 quality trade a day, you'll be doing a lot better than if you were trading the way you are right now, where eventually one of these days, you're going to sit there and be spamming trades, and next thing you know, you're going to be down so much. And one day is going to take out like weeks or even like months of effort pretty much. So the third reason day trading is so hard, I know this sounds funny, but it's just because day trading is so hard. Like, it's complex, right? There's a lot of things that go into it. And I know, like, as an educated trader, if you're watching this, you might think, oh, well, my strategy is so simple. All you got to do is this and this. But when you're first coming into it, there's going to be so many people that are going to say, oh, I make money this way. This is the only way to make money. And you might try to follow their strategy, and it might not even make you money. So there's got like a lot of exploration, and you're going to be learning all these different things, where this guy uses SMTs, and this guy uses IFVGs, and you're like, what do I use? And you got to figure out what works best for you, because some traders, they end up being like day traders where they're only holding their trades for 5 minutes and they're scalping, and there's some people that hold their trades for like a half an hour, and there's some people that turn to swing traders where they might hold their trades for 4 hours, they might hold them for 2 days, right? Because you got to find like a style of trading that works best for your personality, and that's in terms of holding time and also strategy, right? Because everyone's mind works differently, and different people work better with different strategies, right? Because honestly, one of the things that ended up giving me success in trading was just finding a strategy that, one, like resonated with me and worked well with me, but two, I also saw the logic behind it, right? So I have confidence in this strategy because, one, I just I like executing it. It makes sense to me. And I also just believe there's some methodology, right? And it's easy for me to execute, right? So just find a strategy that meshes well with you as a person. And also, try not to make trading too complex. I know a lot of people, when they come into it, they're learning all these things, they're trying to use all these concepts, but sometimes in trading, less is more. Because me personally, I did simplify my trading. I'm aware of all these different things that we could reject off of, but the way I actually take trades, there's only like a set things I look at. Like, I'm only looking at fair value gaps. I'm only looking at liquidity. I'm only looking at SMTs, right? These are the main things. I mean, I look at like session liquidity too, but like these are the main things I'm looking at. Besides that, I'm not caring about too much. And that way you're not getting analysis paralysis. So the last reason day trading is so hard is just all the external factors you're going to experience. So what I mean by this is just the people around you. So let's say you start getting into day trading, you've been doing it for a couple months, you're devoting your life to this, and you think this is the thing you want to do. And then you start telling people, hey, I've been doing this day trading thing. I really love it. You're not going to get positive responses from probably anyone, to be honest. You could tell your parents, hey, I want to be a day trader, but it's going to be extremely unlikely that your parents are going to be supportive of you in terms of day trading. Because a lot of parents, when they grew up, in that specific time, it was nailed in their head like, hey, go to college, get a good job, get a stable income. And we're in different times. It's a lot easier to make money online, and it's actually a viable career option, where back then it really wasn't. So they don't fully understand it. So they want what's best for you. You got to remember that, but they don't fully understand the situation, right? They don't understand all this day trading, online money stuff, right? So they're going to tell you it's not a good idea. And then from there, you might tell your friends, oh, I want to get into this day trading stuff. I bet if your friend ever day traded in the past, he probably had a bad experience. And there's even all these people that sell courses, right? They're selling all these info products. And there's a lot of people that do stuff like that, and they're not even making money themselves trading. So their information they're giving you isn't even that good, right? So then they're going to have a horrible experience. They're going to say, hey, I paid 2K for this guy's private mentorship, and I got nothing from it, right? Like, this guy ghosted me after I paid him, or he gave me just some stupid course that gave me no value, or he gave me a course and I tried my best to learn it, but I still wasn't able to trade profitably because that guy, is he actually trading profitably? It's very hard to tell because there's a lot of people on social media that act like they're profitable, but actually aren't when it comes down to it, right? So now let's say you said, hey, this day trading stuff, I love it, right? But I told my parents, they told me I should avoid it at all costs. I've told my friends, they told me, hey, that stuff doesn't work out. Then let's say you might tell your girlfriend, for example, boyfriend, right? You tell someone like that. They might be like a little receptive. They might be like, oh yeah, I believe in you. You're smart. You can do whatever you set your mind to. And then like maybe your best friend says that, right? So you might get like one or two people that are supportive of you. Maybe your brother, sister, etc., right? But from there, so day trading takes a very long time to actually learn and get good at, right? So let's say 6 months go down the line, right? Your sister, your brother, your girlfriend, they're going to say, hey, how much money have you lost day trading? Because I bet money, you've been doing it for a year now, you're down. I bet. It's normal. You got to learn somehow, right? I mean, there's a cost. I mean, it's ridiculously low probability that you're going to come into this and start making money consistently in a couple months. So they're going to ask you how much you're down. You might say, hey, I'm down $6,000. And they're going to say to you, hey, don't you think it's a good idea where maybe you should cut this thing off here? It's not working out too well for you. And then you're going to say, hey, these prop firm challenges, they seem so easy, or this trading stuff, it seems so easy. I just got to do this. And I mean, down the line, if you stay true and you do put the work in, right, you do come with this a smart way, you find a profitable strategy, right, you're going to make money in time. It's an inevitable thing, right? But at that moment in time, it's going to make you question whether you can really do this, because now you're going to have your parents telling you it's not possible. You're going to have your friends telling you it's not possible. Now, the only person that did believe in you, right? You could have one or two people. They're going to start saying, I'm not sure if you can do this. And they might not say it directly, but you'll see it subtly, right? Because I've experienced this in my life, right? Like, for example, like I told my best friend, I'm going to be so successful with this day trading stuff. And I told him that for so long. And he was one of the few people that was like, okay, whatever. I guess you got it. Good luck. Like, and he didn't really say much negative things. He never really said negative things, but I could kind of tell though as time went on, he's just kind of like, so you've been doing this for how long now? Like, where's the money at? And it's human nature to say that, right? So pretty much down the line, are you going to be able to hold this belief deep down in yourself that you should not give up and you will be successful? Because trust me, when years go by, you see no success. You try your hardest. These people around you are telling you it's not possible, and they're reminding you too. And then, right, like you could come out of your room, you could come out of your den, whatever, right? You lost money on the day. These people that have been telling you it's not possible, they're going to remind you, oh, are you sure this is possible? And they're going to say, are you sure you shouldn't give up? And it's going to be right in that moment where you're at your weakest. They're pretty much kicking you when you're down, right? And you got to maintain that belief in yourself. So pretty much, to be a successful trader, you have to be extremely mentally resilient. You need to know deep down that you can do this, and no one can take that thought from you. You need to have that belief no matter what. No matter what happens, you can lose all the money in the world. Every single person in your life could turn their back on you and tell you whatever is worst case scenario. Pretty much worst case scenario could happen, and you are not going to give up. That is the mentality you need to have. I mean, obviously this is for day trading, but anything in life, that's how you be successful. Like, develop that David Goggins mentality. But if you watch this all the way through, I really hope this motivated you. Before I close this out, I try to remind you, if you're looking for a prop firm to trade with, my favorite prop firm is Alpha Futures. They're going to be linked down below, as well as my discount code, which is code TIMB272. If you use that code, it's going to get you 10% off, or wherever the best current discount is. So I highly recommend checking them out. As well as I'm going to link FX Replay. They're my favorite backtesting platform. So that's going to allow you to test your strategy, make sure it's profitable over time. It'll do the analytics for you. So I'm going to put the link for that down below. If you use that link and code TIMB272, you're going to get 15% off FX Replay. So I highly recommend checking those out. I know I'm spitting a bunch of things here, but lastly, my free Discord is also going to be linked down below. So please check out that. But if you watch this all the way through, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a like, put a comment down below, and also subscribe. And I hope you just have a great day.